spoken about this a couple of times in the past, and this is where it starts getting deep and emotional.
Yeah, yeah.
You've spoken a little bit about, your fear of failure and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
what's something that really gets to you?
Honestly, for me, it's the fear of not living up to my parents' expectations. That's the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the path I've chosen to go down is a little bit unorthodox to what most parents would have their child go down.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't much money in it if you're not a pro. This is bodybuilding, by the way, for those of you guys that don't know. But for me, it's doing well enough to show my parents, look, I've made something of this and I've succeeded and I'm able to provide for my family and people around me and whatnot. So for me, the fear of that kind of failure resonates with me more than just the fear of, I'm never going to become a pro. For me, it's more, I've done this for so long now, I have to succeed for it to be worth something, so that's the fear for me.
But your parents have always been quite supportive with you, haven't they?
To a certain extent, yeah. There does come a point where, everyone has their limits. They let you do your thing for a bit and then they see it's not really going anywhere just yet and their patience isn't necessarily as high as yours. Even mine isn't high sometimes, So some people don't have the same vision as you, obviously, because they're not in here with you.
Yeah, they don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do sometimes get the old comments come out here and there, like, how long are you going to keep doing this for? Has it made you any money yet? Where do you see this going? Maybe you should just, commit to something else that is more secure. It's the way society teaches you to think, isn't it? Just to make do with something that pays a bit more but doesn't actually fulfill anything inside. So yeah, they're supportive for the most part.
Well, you just touched on wanting to, you're doing something just to pay the bills and stuff like that, rather than pursuing something you're really passionate about. Before we started the podcast, you mentioned a bit about how you were working a job and it wasn't sort of being very fulfilling to you, and it kind of put you in a bad place. Do you want to talk about that? Yeah,
so with things like working full time and trying to balance that, a lot of people say full-time job and training, just training for recreational reasons is hard enough in itself, but then trying to balance a full-time job and training and diet for national shows, regional shows, qualifiers, it's a lot of stress on one person. And I've obviously been doing it for 3 years straight now. It's my third season in a row without any time off. I've had 4 or 5 months here and there in between shows, but I haven't had a proper layoff of it all. So for me, it's more, I was trying to balance the two, and then eventually it just broke me as it would anybody else. And my job was getting way too stressful. I wasn't enjoying it that much anymore, and that transferred through into the gym. I'd come in and not really want to work out, wouldn't want to commit to anything. So eventually I resigned and then tried to devote a little bit more time to training.
Right, okay.
But obviously that led to a whole another chapter of of an emotional downhill spiral. So
I mean, that must have been really taxing on you, like constantly trying to balance what you really want to become, the person that you want to become, the ambition, and where you want to be in the future, and working at a gym, training guys that don't know shit. Like, it must be really hard to kind of balance that in your head.
Yeah, it was tough because, like I said, you have the hours, which they're long hours, and you're on your own most of the time because the gym I worked at was fairly empty half the time. But not just that, you're right, it's the balancing of training people that haven't really got the same love for it as I do, and that kind of sucked the motivation out of me to go and do it myself.
So do you often find yourself trying to sort of coach people into the mindset of wanting to
all the time, and even to the point where I'd say to people, look, for you to look how you want to look, it has to become a lifestyle. Nobody can invest 20, 30, 40% of their time, which is what people do, and expect 100% of the results. So you kind of tell people to devote yourself to your passion, whatever it may be, and that's the message I deliver on a daily basis. And I definitely was doing that at my old job, personal training people, just trying to get them to understand that this isn't something that comes easy.
Have you ever had like somebody that you've trained, a PT or just working in a gym, and you've seen massive progression with them? How did that feel for you? Like seeing, like looking at somebody saying, you know what, I made this person, I made him better, I helped him achieve their dreams. How'd that feel?
You know what? It's, for me, and this is with all my platforms, whether it's Snapchat, Instagram, because it's such a personal thing, and you let people into your lives, and people let you into yours. You try and achieve some form of like life improvement. You want to improve people's day and people's week and people's month, people's years, people's lives, you know? And for me, that was a version of that. So seeing somebody who has changed so much for the better, everything around improves. You know, your social life, your confidence, everything just improves and gets better. So it was really nice to see that from a few of my clients back in the day. And a lot of those clients have actually become my friends. You know, that's the kind of bond we created. And, you know, you kind of try and impart knowledge and send them off on their own and hope that they continue that hard work.
Like a kind of adopted child.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Or, a therapist, if you will. But no, it was a nice feeling, definitely.
Oh, I'm proud of you, man. So, you spoke a little bit about... So like you got the competition coming up in a couple of days.
Yeah.
What happens when you're done with all that? You're done with competing. You're done with not bodybuilding, because I know you probably want to carry that on, or at least just hitting the gym, keeping yourself in shape.
Yeah.
What's the end plan?
Do you know what? For me, the end plan is to try and do what I'm doing now, on a much bigger scale, obviously. But through different platforms. So I want to eventually have my own facility to work out of. And for me, that's my retirement plan. For me, is to eventually have a gym I can call home, and people can come in and better themselves and better their lives in my establishment. You know, that for me, I feel like in that avenue, in that industry, that's the most you can give back to your community is provide them the tools they need to better themselves. And what place better than a gym, you know? So for me, owning my own facility is definitely up there.
Nice. So how do you feel like things like the YouTube channel, this podcast, how's all that going to help you? So
the YouTube channel is, honestly, it's just a hobby. The car focused YouTube channel, that's just a hobby. I don't expect anything to come from that. I'm doing that for me, to express my love for cars. Simple as. People enjoy it, great. But as you said, the podcast and the Snapchats and the Instagrams, those three, I really want to achieve a kind of personal connection with everyone and just try and offer my 2 cents of advice as often as I can. As I say, improve people's lives, try and bring out some positivity, some knowledge, try and educate people who don't know about fitness and whatnot, and just show them that you know, a meathead like me, a bodybuilder, you know, antisocial, aggressive, can understand and does understand most often, you know, more than most people because of the stuff we go through. So it's me just sharing my life experiences and hoping I can help at least one person out there. So
that's nice, man. You just mentioned about sort of bodybuilders being this, you know, generically angry, big muscular guys who don't really give a fuck about anybody else.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that stereotype? How do you feel about it? Do you think it's true? Do you think that there are people like that? Or what's your experience with it?
It's definitely true in terms of there are people out there that are like that. But more often than not, you find that those kind of people would be like that whether they were bodybuilders or not. It's a mental thing, you know? Bodybuilding is a very selfish sport. It's all about you. Unfortunately, it has to be, you know, what time you're eating, what time you're getting up, what time you're training. Nothing can really interfere with it too much, which makes you very unsociable. But I think it does differ from one person to the next. I don't think it's fair to judge somebody just off, you know, what they're into, what their passion is. All the bodybuilders I've met have been really nice. Not one of them has been aggressive or you know, antisocial or whatnot. They've all been really friendly, offering advice left, right and centre. So it's a nice sense of community, and I personally want to spread that through the whole fitness industry, because bodybuilding is very much in its own little circle at the moment. So, yeah.
You just said that obviously bodybuilding in general, let alone competing and working and everything else on the side, it's very time consuming and it takes over your life. How has that affected your relationships, and not just intimate relationships with a girlfriend or whatever, but just people in general? Like, how's that affected you personally?
To be honest, in terms of my relationship with people, it's forced me to kind of dilute my friendship down to a very select few. And I'm very fortunate to have a circle of friends that understand what I'm trying to do and that somehow see my vision. Maybe because they're chasing a dream that is as far away from them as mine is from me, but it's just a different kind of dream. But you can relate to, you know, the never-ending, constant pursuit. Yeah, so I think from that kind of perspective, I'm very blessed to have people around me that understand the grind, you know, so to say. In terms of relationship with girlfriends, it's been a bit hard sometimes, depending on who you're with, in terms of, okay, you know, I can't stay over tonight. I have to get up at God knows what time and do the cardio and whatnot. So that gets in the way. When you're prepping, can't go out for dates, can't go out for dinner, it gets in the way of that. And closer to the show day, the sex drive takes a bit of a plummet as well. Usually for me, 2 weeks out of a show, I'm never really in the mood. So that is also another thing. But I've been lucky enough to have relationships in the past that have been really understanding of what I've been trying to do and that have understood that it's just temporary. Once the show's over, you know, I get my boyfriend back, kind of thing. So yeah, I haven't let it interfere with my life too much. But then again, that could just be that I've surrounded myself with the right people. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, are you in a relationship at the moment?
No, not at the moment. No.
Oh, well, that's a double negative then. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm only human. You do have those days where you don't really, you can't really be fucking trained. So it's just getting yourself in there and doing the best you can on those days. And usually those are the sessions that turn out to be the best.